Hi there, everyone. There's Gerald here and Tony. Tony today is gonna welcome to the Freedom Friday. Tony today is gonna talk to us about a really fascinating topic, and I think it's one that's gonna blow our minds and something that a lot of us haven't really wrapped our heads around yet. Mainly because we just have no idea which way it's gonna go. I mean, it's something that's gonna open up so many possibilities that it'll be interesting. So Tony is going to talk to us about the various implications of metaverses on different levels, the economic and financial implications, the possible spiritual implications, and lots more. So yeah, take it away, Tony.
Yeah. Hi, Gerald. Hi, everyone. Uh, yeah, this is a fascinating topic. The metaverse, uh, I think, presents some incredible opportunities and also some certain challenges, and definitely there's some challenges there when there's certain forces, I believe, at work behind the creation of the metaverse, which may not be so savory for humanity, but ultimately it's humanity that will decide the outcome. So, without further ado, I'll just share my screen and I'll bring up. I have got quite a few slides for this one, so I will just share my screen. Can you see that, Gerald?
Yes, all good.
Yep. Great.
If,
So,
if if you can maximize that, that would be fantastic. Do you know how to do the slideshow? Turn on the slideshow.
yep, yep.
Uh,
It's at maximum size now.
okay. I mean, if you want to go up to the tab which says slideshow, then it'll take the whole screen, which will be good. That'll make it easier for everyone. Yep. Play from start. Yeah. And then you just fantastic. Yeah, that looks good.
Yeah. So, what is the metaverse, and how could it affect our everyday lives? So, this is a discussion on simulated worlds, which I see the metaverse as a type of simulated world. Um, Also, holograms and how the metaverse could impact the future of humanity. Actually, Gerald, that I can still hear that fan. Oh, that's better. Yeah. So basically, that's what we are looking at. Is another kind of. It's like a metaverse is like a kind of hologram or simulated world within what I call the existing world a simulated world as well, in the sense that the model or the system that we have in the world is simulated. So I'll go into that more as we go along. So first, I'm going to start off with uh, what about words, the meanings of words, because words are very important and they have various meanings, and this sort of depicts the underlying energy or the underlying power that's behind us in the metaverse. So meta means above, beyond, and it's also it means self-referential. In other words, it's referring um, self-referential. An example of that is this comment here, where the enterprise, that could be any enterprise, is inherently meta since it does not review movies; it reviews the reviewers who review movies. Another way of saying this is we are being meta when we are witnessing ourselves or when we are thinking about thinking. And anything, so we're thinking about the actual topic and the actual structure of what we're thinking about or what we're doing, etc. Um, in Hebrew, meta means death. Now, a lot of people seize upon this and they say, "Oh, meta means death," so it's like the death verse. Um, I think that's a very narrow view of it, because its real meaning is above and beyond the physical. That's what it really means, which is exactly what metaphysical means. When we talk about the metaphysical, you could say that's beyond death rather than literally death. And metaphysical is a term really depicting our spirituality or the spiritual world or the energy world, if you like. Um, and verse is a rhythm displayed in words or a rhyme, or it could be an excerpt from the Bible, a verse in the Bible, or it could be seen as a poem. And multiverse is a group of multiple universes, which could be called parallel universes or alternate universes or alternate realities. So I basically see the metaverse as another alternate reality that is appearing in our reality here, in this current reality. So now I'm going to look at simulation. What is the meaning of simulation? And this is actually from Wikipedia. Sometimes Wikipedia can be quite good when they're talking about things like this. Sometimes they're full of BS, but I quite like this depiction of simulation. Is the imitation of the operation of a real world process or system over time. Simulations require the use of models. That's very important in this context. The model represents the key characteristics or behaviors of the selected system or process, whereas the simulation represents the evolution of the model over time. Often computers are used to execute the simulation. Simulation is used in many contexts, such as simulation of technology for performance tuning or optimizing, safety engineering, testing, training, education, and video games. Simulation is also used with scientific modeling of natural systems. This is very important because this is how I see our current world. Our current world is a simulation, and it's simulating natural systems into artificial systems. So, to carry on, or human systems to gain insight into their functioning, as in economics. Now, our economic system is a classic simulation. So, simulation can be used to show the eventual real effects of alternative conditions and courses of action. Simulation is also used when the real system cannot be engaged because it may not be accessible, or it may be dangerous or unacceptable to engage, or it has been designed but not yet built, or it may simply not exist. Um, Key issues in modeling and simulation include the acquisition of valid sources of information about the relevant selection of key characteristics and behaviors used to build the model, the use of simplifying approximations and assumptions within the model, and fidelity and validity of the simulation outcomes. Procedures and protocols for model verification and validation are an ongoing field of academic study, refinement, research, and development in simulation technology or practice, particularly in the work of computer simulation. So the metaverse is a classic computer simulation, actually AI simulation as well. It's very AI driven. And the model, as I said before, the model in this world, our economic model, the whole system is is a simulation. This is the matrix. The matrix is a classic, is just a model which has been adapted from nature but made into an artificial system. From the time we're born, we have a birth certificate, which is like a license, if you like, to operate in the world. Our name is put in all caps. We are a carbon copy of our flesh, living body, and then we're made into a simulated name. And then this is used right throughout our life, till even after death. The economic system, when we're interacting with that, our birth certificate becomes a bond on the economic um, in the stock market, if you like, in the bond system, and we're operating really as what they call a straw man. So this is important when we're looking at the metaverse. We need to understand the current landscape we are in, and what the fact is that we are already in a type of metaverse. So that is important. Then now I'm going to look at a hologram. A hologram is very related. The holography is a technique that enables a wavefront to be recorded and later reconstructed. Holography is best known as a method of generating three-dimensional images, but it also has a wide range of other applications. Holograms can also be computer generated by modeling two intersecting wavefronts and adding them together digitally, which is very much describing attributes of the metaverse, but it is also describing our physical world. This is how our physical world is created. All physicality is a hologram because we are created by intersecting angles of light. That is an absolute scientific fact. Nothing is actually solid in our physical world. It is 99.9999 all the way to infinite space. So that is a reality that we are in, and this is why it's really important to understand the difference between our physical body, energy, spirituality, materialism, and everything else in between. So then I'll go on to another. This is another bit of science here. I'm trying to sort of make it as simple as I can because I'm trying to decode some of these very complex science things. But bear in mind, a lot of the science that is in our world we know is 99% rubbish. But there's elements of truth in it that we need to extract. And one of those is string theory. And we're hearing a lot about string theory at the moment. So just to quote again this quote, the holographic principle is a tenet of string theories and is a supposed property of quantum gravity that states that the description of a volume of space can be thought of as encoded on a lower dimensional boundary. Now, that boundary is physical light. So that is very important. I wrote an article about this recently about physical light is the boundary of our matrix. It's the boundary of our simulation. There is a lot more outside the boundary which our science, our conventional science, will not touch. It won't go there. It won't go into the quantum uh, field. It won't go into plasma and prana and photon belt and this sort of thing. So Yeah, so that I just wanted to make that point. Such as a light boundary, like a gravitational horizon. Leonard Susskind said, "The three-dimensional world of ordinary experience, i.e., the universe filled with galaxies, stars, planets, houses, boulders, and people, is a hologram, an image of reality sighted on a distant two-dimensional 2D surface." String theory is the idea in theoretical physics that reality is made up of infinitesimal vibrating strings smaller than atoms, electrons, or quarks. Now, that is describing the quantum field to me. That is my take on this is that the strings are actually energy lines, vortices, and an aspect of the actual torus field, which is what creates all material things, all physicality, our body, everything is created on these strings of energy, which are really just energy waves. They're absolutely right about the vibration, about the vibrational side. Everything is vibrating, everything is frequency, and everything is resonating. So with that in mind, I'm going to go a bit more into the metaverse itself. Applications of the metaverse, creating a virtual reality or augmented reality. So different applications are gaming is the big one. In fact, the metaverse has been created on the gaming community. They have now created a gaming community of there's 2.5 billion people. That's a third of our population are either casual or regular gamers. And when I heard that statistic, I was actually quite blown away. That is a that is a massive amount of people, and a lot of these gamers are very very fanatical about it. They're even earning money in now money to game. They've made it very easy uh, for the gamers to go into this reality. It's really escape to me. It's an escape from physical reality, probably because they don't see the current reality in the world as very savory. So it's a natural human instinct to want to escape something that is distasteful or is not so great. I know a lot of gamers are probably quite, introvert, or they're very, they're very probably quite scathing on the way the world has been run. So this is a way for them to escape into another reality. Now that the game is such a huge community, they are rolling out the metaverse now, which has actually been the metaverse was created over 30 years ago by by DARPA and other incubator programs for the deep state. Um, so now other things that can be created in the metaverse, virtual meetings, which is quite a benign aspect of metaverse. It could be quite useful from that point of view. You can create a whole music concert in the metaverse. It's already been done. Um, and you could go and watch a film in the metaverse. You can buy land and property in the metaverse, which is absolutely mind blowing. There's shopping malls. You can literally set up your own store in the metaverse. And where do the people set up stores? They set up the stores where there's the most eyeballs. They're setting up the stores where people are congregating and going, and they know that by creating these, they know the people are coming. They're building it, they know the people will come. So it's something that cannot be stopped. I think it's just it's already too big, it's too much happening. The big boys are driving it, so this is the way we're going. It's also a place for people to socialize with other avatars, they call them, or simulated people. There can be games, sports happening in the metaverse, and a lot more that I don't even know, but I'm sure there's a lot more coming that's basically going to incorporate every area of life. So, what technology is required for the metaverse, and what terminology is used in the metaverse? So, the metaverse needs 5G technology. I'm not going to go into the whys and wherefores of 5G because that's not the subject of this. But let's just say that there are some very nefarious aspects to 5G, especially when it's at higher gigahertz rating. I think that 5G and 6G, even 6G, which is phenomenal, could be it could be very debilitating, and a lot of reports write that. However, it depends on the actual frequency that that this technology is set at. Certainly, when it gets to 60 type gigahertz, it is going to be very, very debilitating. But it can be also set at other ranges, which could be actually very, very beneficial. So we don't need to just focus on the technology, we need to focus on how it's being configured and who is configuring it. But let's just say for this, this is why there's a big push for 5G now, because the metaverse will not be able to operate on a current 4G technology. That's very important. Also, it's going to be very AI driven. It needs artificial intelligence for this, and there is a theory out there that we are controlled by an AI super machine now, which some people refer to as a kind of an alien technology. Now, I don't know about that. I think that that's possible, but I do know that we are being very controlled by AI just by having our phone in our hand all the time, being in front of the computer, just already just by mere virtue of never being far away from our technology, from our phones and computers. There is certain AI that can harvest what we're thinking, what we're feeling, and this has been fed to some kind of, I think, a supercomputer somewhere. You could call this the AI super machine that processes that, and this is how it knows it's keeping a pulse on the humanity and what we're basically thinking, feeling. It's certainly capturing where we're going, like where we're spending our money. But this is going to be taken up to a whole new level if the powers that be get their way. But we are already heavily influenced by AI, and we don't even know it. So I'm going to touch on these taboo subjects, and I'm going to bring them to light because I think they need to be aired. The internet, obviously, the metaverse needs the internet, and it needs digital money. It needs the blockchain. It needs crypto. So that's where the crypto will interact with us. The hardware, it needs the head. You need these special headsets for the virtual reality. You'll need your phone as well. It can operate on the phone. You need your phones, computers, and certain computer chips as well. Very advanced computer chips. Software required is the blockchain, as I mentioned, and the metaverse runs on a kind of engine. It's like a super machine. It's where they literally digitally record everything, and then they make a super imposition of it into this engine. So we will have imaging of people. So that's essentially what your avatar is. It's just an image of yourself, like a cartoon type character, or like a sort of a you know sort of digital image of yourself, and the environment, and recreating it in the metaverse. So they are literally digitally mapping the entire Earth. This is what I have found out. Um, this does need more of your own research if you want to explore that more. But I can give you, I can provide videos that explain it. They're digitally mapping the whole entire Earth. And I think that is the plan. The ultimate end game is to literally have a copy of the whole Earth. They've already created an artificial sun and an artificial moon, so we might as well have an artificial Earth. Um, so an avatar is your persona in the virtual world. VR equals virtual reality, which is an immersive experience with a headset. AR is augmented reality, which is an overlay projected onto the real world, and so the metaverse, like the simulation, is projected onto the current natural world. Now, I'll put here, think Project Bluebeam. They're already doing this. Some of you have probably heard of Project Bluebeam. They can they at the last New Year's Eve in China, they displayed Bluebeam on one of their towers, and they had a giant whale diving into the ocean. So if you can find that clip, it was on social media. It's a perfect example of what Bluebeam can do. It can project anything, anywhere, in the sky, lifelike, and you will be able to see it. It will come with sound effects and everything. So this is another DARPA created project. MR means mixed reality. That comprises of both AR and VR in unison. Then you have XR, which is extended reality, incorporating all of the above and overlaps of each. And NFT, so NFT, most of you know NFTs. NFT is a certificate of authentication, showing proof of ownership of goods created in the metaverse. So also NFTs are created for your artwork and music compositions and other things like that, your own unique artwork. But NFTs are going to be huge in the metaverse. These will be traded, these will be a form of exchange happening in the metaverse. People will be exchanging their own NFTs in that reality. So so what's happening now, and what are some of these plans that are being created by the corporations, I might add. So already many corporations are setting up in the metaverse. Adidas, Puma, Nike, so all the key shoe companies are already there. Ferrari is now going on the metaverse. NASCAR, as in the NASCAR races, I think they're going to be creating, the race in the metaverse. Samsung have set up a shop in the metaverse already. And I know there's a lot of others. I can't remember them all, but there's a lot of corporations spending hundreds of millions of dollars, setting themselves up there. It's quite incredible how fast it is really happening. You can buy land, as I said before, you can buy land in the metaverse, and a piece of land in the metaverse is already sold for $4.2 million. So I find that incredible. It's just mind blowing. They eventually will link offline and on. Sorry, that should say online and offline, not offline and offline. Online and offline into a seamless reality. So really, they want to create this metaverse reality or unreality, if you like, so that it becomes an all-consuming aspect of our life, and you will be able to obviously move between both offline, the natural universe, and the natural world and the metaverse. um, I also a goal is to recreate a whole, as I said before, a wholly alternative Earth will be created in the metaverse. So that is something that I have discovered. I'm still researching that more as to how they're going to do that. But basically, they're digitally mapping the whole Earth. They've already recreated a couple of cities and I've already captured that in creating a metaverse engine over these.
They use Google Photos. So someone was showing, I think Microsoft was showing that using the photos collected in Google, they can. There's so many billions of photos of every building and city and whatever taken by people that they could actually map 3D models from those photos. It was quite amazing.
Right. Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, it is amazing. So all transactions, social and work interactions will happen in this alternative reality. Um, it will be sold as a potential solution to escape climate change and what we kind of see as the dystopian world, which I believe is being created partly for this reason. It may sound very conspiratorial, but we can see, I think a lot of people since COVID have kind of starting to wake up to this. It's definitely a major social engineering that is happening, and it is pushing us towards a cashless society. It's pushing us towards working from home, working remotely. It's pushing us into to lots of areas that we otherwise wouldn't have gone through our own volition. So, and I think that part of this is that all digital money, CBDCs basically, that's what I call the central bank digital money and programmed money that's centralized, uh, will be tracked to your carbon usage. In other words, if you're buying a holiday, and you're flying, you could well be docked from that, or you could be severely penalized or whatever, or they might even block the transaction. This is actually happening. This is actually, this is actually, well, it's happening in the sense that it's been well planned. I've seen lots of evidence of it. I've seen it in documents. I've seen it being spoken about by these people. So this is not a conspiracy. So all you have to do is delve into it, and you'll find it is a fact. This is all part of linked to the climate change. In other words, carbon has been demonized, but it's really just a way to herd us into another way um, of living where we get surveilled and tracked and all of that rubbish. So what the metaverse is really the metaverse is a timeline split. It is a classic example of how we are creating two Earths. And the metaverse is the physical manifestation of that timeline split. And many people will choose to operate in the metaverse rather than in the real natural Earth. But you know that that's something that can require more discussion. But this is where it comes down to people, and we've got to choose what our reality is. We've got to choose where we're going, um, without going into victimhood, without feeling like we are being we're not being coerced into this, but it is being presented right in our face, just like how this current system is. So it does limit our freedom of choice when you've got all this other stuff going on around. The propaganda and mind control is getting off the charts right now. So anyway, so the lower timeline is the metaverse as a second Earth. It denotes a timeline split from our physical natural reality. And I think this is part of actually the goal, actually. And COVID was created to move us away from individual freedom to a collective hive mindset that is focused on full control of humanity. An AI controlled world with robotics, transhumanism, the Neuralink that Elon Musk talks about, and quite a few others, nanobots, and this is also where the vaccines come in, because the vaccines contain nanobots. Transhumanism, it's just making us more machine like, getting us used to the idea of working with AI, robotics. Um, Ultimately, what they want to do is try and download a person's mind and soul into AI, which I find really incredible. But some of these people, they call them intelligent. I think that's really just dumb, really. But anyway, I'm just presenting what the type of world that is being presented to us, and whether we choose to go into it or not is our choice. And we could always choose the higher timeline, which is connection to a natural biological centric world, where we interact with the metaverse. We do not get immersed in it. So we can still utilize the metaverse, but we don't have to live in the metaverse. But again, that's a choice. We might just choose not to even engage with it at all, which I could fully understand. Um, and really, this is where we can choose a wholesome natural food, natural life, our spiritual human connection, focus on energy, the prime elements, our connection to our breath, sunshine, water, and all the things that make up a beautiful natural reality. And this is I think where we are going to see the split in society, which is already happening. Even without the metaverse, we already see it happening. We can already see how people are choosing to either go in the 3D, pure 3D. They're getting caught up in the fear. They're getting caught up in the propaganda, and they're following the rules that have been laid out. Or there's other people who are seen as quite rebellious, but they are choosing to stand on the earth. They're choosing the natural world with connecting with flesh and blood people, and remaining connected to the earth and all its elements. So, we talk about there's this talk about the Great Reset, and Klaus Schwab said in his own words, "You will own nothing and be happy." And he actually wrote a book too called The Great Reset, which I will just discuss a little bit more, a little bit further along. But so this Great Reset, the metaverse is all part of the Great Reset to move us away from nature, away from our land and property, and to socially engineer our thinking. This is the way I see it. It is a social engineering going on. And it is well stated that they would like us off the land. They want us in the cities where all the 5G is, and where all the where all the electricity is running, and in little cubicles, little apartments, and lifted up off the land, away from our nature, in a fully artificial world. This is part of Agenda 2030. And meanwhile, all the corporations are already, Bill Gates is the biggest landowner in the world, along with the royal family. They are buying up land like you wouldn't believe. Uh, they really don't, they want to preserve all that land for themselves. God knows what they're going to do with it, but they certainly don't want us on it anyway. And so they're creating this problem. They create the problems of COVID, as a problem. So we all react, and we have solutions that then get pushed in front of our face. And we tend to take the solution because it's easy, and it seems like there's no other choice. But I reckon there are other choices, and this is where we got to stay connected to ourself, to our soul, spirit, self, to nature, to each other, and to the natural reality. In order to awaken, we must also be able to see what's planned for us. Uh, this is something that a lot of people might disagree with me, but I believe that we have to see what's on the plate now in order to move us more, in order for us to understand and then prepare accordingly. So we cannot win a war when we don't know we are actually in one. We are in a psychological mental war. It is a silent war. And again, some people might say that's, you know, BS. Well, you're entitled to your opinion, and I'm entitled to mine. So we are in I believe, at least a mind war. And we're being assaulted from all angles. Propaganda is getting off the charts, and this confuses us. It debilitates our thinking process, and so people get easily controlled and easily manipulated, and then they just succumb, and then they take what's presented in front of them. So critical thinking tends to go out the window. So we've got to know the difference between what's actually being planned and where our attention or focus is going. This is where we need to use our critical thinking. We need to use our connection to nature, which gives us the energy, which gives us the intentions and attention to be able to sort of peacefully, I don't like the word resist, because resistance is creating a kind of opposition. But we need to, as someone said recently, we need to go to peace. We don't want to go to war. This is all part of the proclamation of peace that we spoke about a couple of months back last year. We talked about the proclamation of peace and reclaiming your sovereignty. To be sovereign is to be aware of your spirit, and it is to know that we come in peace, and we need to somehow keep our peace inside us while all of this chaos is going on around outside of us. We just need to focus on what's truth and what's right, what's love, light, and all of that, and connection to our physicality, as our physicality and our spirituality as well. So we need to be aware, and we need to be prepared. Once you know the playbook, we can then take steps accordingly that are real solutions without having our blinkers on. So this is the test. This is the test for humanity. Now this is an excerpt from Klaus Schwab in his book, The Great Reset. I'm going to read this out. At least 4 billion useless eaters shall be eliminated by the year 2050 by means of limited wars, organized epidemics, of fatal, rapid acting diseases and starvation. Energy, food, and water shall be kept at subsistence levels for the non-elite, starting with the white populations of Western Europe and North America, and then spreading to other races. The population of Canada, Western Europe, and the United States will be decimated more rapidly than on other continents until the world's population reaches a manageable level of 1 billion, of which 500 million will consist of Chinese and Japanese races, selected because they are people who have been regimented for centuries and who are accustomed to obeying authority without question. From the time there shall be artificially contrived food and water shortages and medical care to remind the masses that their very existence depends on the goodwill of the Committee of 300. That is what Klaus Schwab wrote. No conspiracy there. That is exactly his words. And if that's not put in right in plain sight, I don't know what is. So, with that in mind, the true solution is with us. It is us awakening beyond that. They can only create to the 4D level. They can only create on, well, they don't even create actually. They are not creators. They're simply, they're psychopaths who are very intelligent, but only on the IQ level, not on the EQ level, the emotional quantum, not on the SQ, the spiritual quotient. They cannot evolve past the 4D. And this is the level, by the way, that artificial intelligence works, because it's basically a recreation of them, their own selves. And I dare to say it, there is an alien influence in that. It's certainly foreign in that sense. As far as the debate of aliens and ETs, well, that's for another time. But so basically, we have to know history to understand that this has actually been played out on humanity for centuries, for thousands of years, in fact. And history is always written by the victors. So I have researched a lot of history. I've gone right back to pre-Sumerian times. I've read a lot about all sorts of different civilizations that were purported to live on Earth then, and a lot of it resonated with me. And if you really, really dig, you can find um, the incredible history that we have had, um, and you can also see the rises and falls of humanity, the rise and falls of empires, and how this playbook is this basic same playbook that's been played on us today has been played on us for a long, long time. The light and dark are opposites of the same coin. We must know the dark by facing it, then we can truly be in the true light, not a false light, common amongst the New Age movement and spiritual or physical bypassing. So, what I mean by that is we all have a shadow. We all have a shadow, and the dark that's in us, or our shadow, comes out when we're under pressure, but by facing it, this is what enables your true light to come to the fore. And then once you've been through your dark night, once you've been through a dark night of the soul, as they call it, then your true power really comes to the fore. Your heart opens, you become much more in connection with your spirit, your soul, and you truly awaken on every level. And I say a common amongst the New Age movement and spiritual movement, because I mean I'm not putting down the New Age movement. I come through the New Age movement myself. I've been in the New Age movement at the actual cold face. I had a New Age business for many, many years, and I was once one of those New Agers who kind of lived in a bit of a false light. And I used to say that, oh, if you focus on any of that dark stuff, then that's what you're going to create and all that. I really think that is a bypass. That is bypassing the actual reality of the physicality, of our need for our body, the need for actually even the dark. We need the dark as much as we need the light, because without the dark, we will never grow. Without going through the dark, we would never evolve from a human being into a spiritual being that we are. Um, so, by knowing that we all have a shadow, is to ensure it never becomes unconscious. It's the unconscious shadow that's causing all the chaos in the world, and it's come out as a collective. And this is when it becomes dangerous. This is when the fear really grips. This is when people commit suicide, or they resort to violent actions. This is not going to save us. We are not going to violently save our way to freedom. We're not revolutions always end in bloodshed, and they do not end. Just ask Russia. Just ask the Russians how they get on, and they'll tell you. So what we need is an evolution, and we need an evolution of consciousness. And knowing we're all made of light and guided by the light is true illumination. And knowing and applying love and truth is true freedom. So I see this as the true solutions to the current problems. I'm not going to just focus on the problem, and I'm not just going to be bypassing the problem, the earthly problem, and just sort of say it's all love and light and spirituality, and forget about the other side, because the controllers are there, whether we like it or not. They are enacting out their playbook now, and we just need to be aware. So yeah, so that's basically it. So I just seen that my Mac is about to lose its battery, so I just got to quickly go and find. Just got to go and plug it in. If you could just take over, Gerald, I'll be back in a sec.
Right. Hi guys. Well, that was kind of mind blowing and probably not what you were expecting, but it's it's yeah. There's a lot of implications there. Uh, I mean, the metaverse makes it look fun. It's all kind of designed to look fun and compelling, and that's what we've got used to, really. I mean, I found myself that I got addicted to computers because they made the graphics fun, they made the graphics compelling, they made it, um, it they draw it in, and that's how they draw young people in. So when you look at metaverse, it kind of looks cute. You've got cute avatars, you've got cute things going on, but there's also a whole range of potential for dark forces to express within the metaverses themselves. Aside from the fact that what Tony was saying, that the actual metaverse itself could be a construction of dark forces. Um, it's their great reset, not ours. Yes, thank you, Blair. Definitely, we have the choice, and the way we can have the choice is by having the awareness. Yeah. So when we don't have the awareness, we don't have the choice. When we don't shine the light on the darkness, then the darkness always remains hidden. Um, yeah. So thanks a lot, Tony, for that.
That's all right. Though I enjoyed giving that. I mean, that took quite a bit of mental mind power for me because I was trying to figure out how to, how to present it, and I didn't want to make out like advocating a dystopian world. And I think the metaverse could have a lot of positive implications that we can't see yet. Uh,
Mm,
but I was thinking just before, it seems like it's a simulation of our current reality,
mm,
but this could actually be a a simulation of other possible realities that could be very beneficial. Like we talk about astral travel, right? We're in a kind of a hologram, another sort of a metaverse, if you like, when we're in our astral body, or when we're doing lucid dreaming, or even in lives within lives. Even when we die, we're in a kind of a alternative reality. So
mm.
maybe the metaverse could teach us about how life does operate outside of the body.
Yeah,
Maybe it's a way where we can teach people about life after death, and other things like that. Um, we could, and it may be just what some people need to get them back on track. Who knows?
yeah, yeah. Well, it could also be a huge opportunity for us as a community to go into the metaverse and share our wisdom, such as it is, and our knowledge and our connection, and actually be leaders within that space too. I think it opens up possibilities for us to get engaged and actually then to help bring balance to psychological balance or natural or spiritual or whatever balance to the world.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Is the thing is that what I find a lot of people do, and including myself, sometimes when I come up against something that I don't like, you know, you tend to want to resist it. And I see a lot of the people in the truth movement and the truth seekers and that, when yeah, they're trying to screw us over, and this is their, and it's like people act like they're doomed.
Mm, yeah,
And we can't go into that catastrophe type thinking that I call it. We've got to do it without resisting. And the thing is, to oppose this is simply going to create more of problems for you, because with 2.5 million gamers, and I can see the way it's been built out so rapidly, there's going to be millions, hundreds of millions, possibly billions of people going into the metaverse. And so it's futile to throw stones at their glass house.
yes, yes,
We're going to have to find a way where we could keep our connection to to ourselves, and find a way to operate despite that, and still, yeah, maybe just, as I say, be still and know that you are God, as the
yeah,
saying goes.
yeah,
Um, but it's going to present an interesting conundrum, because we'll have this definite polarization going on in the world,
mm,
and it sort of offers up the question of how do we best navigate this,
yeah.
if the world is sort of being split in two.
Mm. Yes, it's very tempting to say, well, I think I'll just go and hang out on the beach, and just escape all that. Or
Mm.
seeing that the metaverse could be like a Trojan horse into our lives, well, we could ourselves become the Trojan horse within the metaverse to actually go in and disrupt it and yeah,
In a good way, we could
yeah,
be like
that's right.
the Trojan horse that unleashes true, like all the things we love about crypto and DeFi, is offering up
Yeah,
the true. To me, the best thing out of this is the decentralized nature of crypto.
yes,
Creating NFTs in themselves are a wonderful thing if you can get to keep your own intellectual property, decentralized data.
Mm.
storage so that it doesn't fall into centralized hands. And yeah, maybe the metaverse might have some uses for us, and maybe in the workspace for
Yeah,
as educators, like you say, or as maybe we could set up shop there as well, and
exactly.
and then talk to them about spiritual kind of reality and um,
Well, to
yeah,
remind people, I
yeah,
think wisdom is actually being reminded of our connection, and so as people get drawn into all this unreality, we can actually be people who can remind them of what we used to know about reality and say, well, this is what we used to know. This is what we saw. This is what we see. And as we remind people, then ultimately resonate with that and they remember. And you know, I think the whole thing about spirituality is actually remembering who we are, remembering the connection that we came from, and it's
yeah.
inherent in all of us, no matter how far down the rabbit hole we go.
I couldn't agree more. To know who we are and why we're here. I wrote that post on my Facebook page today.
Right.
That is the fundamental. That's ground zero. That's where we need to start. The fundamental knowledge of self. There's nothing higher. It was written in the
Mm.
Greek. Was it Greek and Roman philosophy? Know thyself to be
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate maxim. That's probably the ultimate truism that we need to discover for ourselves. And then once we know ourselves, we can never get lulled or lured into something false or artificial that's going to be harmful.
Yeah.
We will always do the right thing. When you know who you truly are, you'll always do the right thing.
Mm.
It absolutely is right. Consciousness is Tracy's just put. Consciousness chooses us. We do not choose consciousness. Yeah. But we can choose consciousness as well. That's why
Mm.
we have a conscious aspect. This is the neocortex. It's its job is also we can choose to evolve. We can choose to only you know take into our subconscious that which we know is to be of a highest truth for us.
Well, we need to choose to take the path, isn't it? We need to choose the path that we want to go forward from now on, and
Yeah, we
that's
need to choose life.
yeah.
We need to choose life and over a death kind of cult, if you like. You know, it's um, it's about life preserving and life evolution and children as well. I think that the children. This is what it's sad to me to see how the children are being targeted with this
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
this jab. This injection they want to give
Uh,
people that I find really abhorrent. And, I think they want to groom them young and move them into they become an easy target and become the future consumers of this corporate world. And it's just got out of balance. It's just too far out of. I'm not against technology at all. I actually think technology, even though it's got a lot of nefarious aspects, I think the technology could be one of the single biggest things that actually bring us back from the brink
mm,
of
yeah.
these current times. If it's used by conscious people, if it's developed by conscious people, and it's maintained by consciousness,
Mm,
then it will always be used as a tool for good. It could
yeah.
it could be like a gun could kill someone, or it could also be used as a deterrent to be killed,
Yeah.
right? So just like that with technology, we can use it to harm or we can use it to help.
Well, one of the reasons I'm very positive and bullish about DeFi is that I see a lot of very ethical people actually working on DeFi and creating DeFi, and there are people who are actually for decentralization for the very reason of, what you mentioned, Schwab and his committee of 300 and whatever. That's complete centralization shit. And so that's why a lot of the people in this space, and they could be physicists, developers, entrepreneurs, all sorts of people, are totally against that, and that's why they're working in this space. So I feel very buoyed up by when I see people talking and whatever about the various projects that they're doing in this space. Yeah, and that's why I'm very open to sharing it with you guys. If you get the chance, watch what's it called? Uncensored Crypto, I think it's called. I put out it's a series that's coming out right now. They're screening it free every day, and they are interviewing a whole bunch of people around the implications of crypto and DeFi. And I think yes, Kath Knight. I think it will actually give you a lot of hope, because of so many great people in that space.
Yeah, yeah, no,
Mm.
I totally on that page, and also I'd like to. This is why I think at this time it's very important for us to have some economic financial sovereignty.
Yeah.
We, if we just let go of, if we lose our wealth, we lose our access to income, we lose our land and our property, and we lose that combined with this allowing the technology to be used in a nefarious way, then that is not a good future.
Yeah.
Because right now we need to maintain some economic pushback to these centralized controllers because and that's where I think the digital financial there's a digital financial complex that's obviously working to destabilize that, but we can use that same system
Yeah.
to our advantage. And I think the combo of economics and finances with technology is a powerful force for good. That and then once we've got some economic sovereignty and we've seen off these idiots who just think they own us and they own the world, then we can, once we've got some semblance back on the world and there's balance and people have fully woken up to what was actually how close we're coming to actual a almost extermination. Once people wake up to what really works, in other words, once enough people face their shadow and their dark,
Yeah.
then we will never go back. You don't unlearn what we learn. We don't go back to
Yes.
sleep once
Of
you're
course.
awake. Once
Yeah.
you're awake forever, even including future lives.
Mm.
And then maybe we might move into a no money situation. Because I
Yes.
know quite a few of my friends have dismissed crypto, they've dismissed anything to do with money because they're advocating for a no money world, a barter world, or that sort
Mm.
of thing. But I just don't believe it will work right now because if we lose our economic sovereignty,
Yeah.
then we are on the slippery slope to for them to achieve their plans, and I don't see that happening.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
So
yeah. So the platform is uncensoredcrypto.com. I put it in the Telegram. I've got the second one of the series. I'll put that in as well. Yeah. Kath, yes. Jimmy Song said something really interesting, and that's why what Tony has just said about sovereignty of finances is really, really, really important, because um, if we if we are not financially sovereign, we are always then relying on handouts, right? And what one thing Jimmy Song said was he spoke to a guy from, he was one of the highest level guys who was released or who escaped from North Korea. And he asked him, look, how the hell, how did Kim Il Sung manage to take over the whole place? And the guy said, by offering free things. He gave them free housing, free education, free this, free get. Everything became free, and the people then became beholden to him, and he took away their power. And then he related it back to how we are given free things in our society. Facebook was free, wasn't it? Google was free. So we went into the free things, and then we realized we became the products. We were then being sold to the advertisers, the Google advertisers, the Facebook advertisers. So so watch out for free lunches
Yeah.
because there may be no free lunches. So become financially sovereign and
And
buy
this
your
is
stuff, Yeah.
and this is where I put my conspiracy hat on, and I look
Yeah.
at COVID, and now they're talking about a universal basic income, and look how dependent people are on the government now
Mm,
for the handout,
yeah.
and that's all around the world. This isn't just an isolated thing. This is a worldwide coordinated thing that cannot be done without a high degree of planning before the actual COVID happened. It
Mm.
was planned. They had a simulation of COVID, just like they've done a simulation now of a cyber pandemic. They call it a cyber pandemic. They use that pandemic word. So, what does that tell you? There's some kind of event coming in the economic financial world that could, I don't know what it's going to look like, but we've got to be prepared because there's, this is where I think being aware that we are under some kind of, you know, um, I don't know, you like to call it an attack or whatever, but we're under some kind of assault, certainly on a psychological, mental level. And we have to get ourselves strong in our all our faculties to be able to endure and thrive through this. And one of those things is decentralization, is like what we come back to DeFi. Decentralization is what is the kryptonite, if I can use that word, to decentralized
Yeah,
control.
well, it's the kryptonite to the institutions. Yeah, and that's why
Yeah,
the banks are worried. They're running scared.
that's why they are worried and they are scared. And I've seen some real panics, some panic comments coming out, even from the BIS, the not the
Not the BS.
not the BS, but the BIS.
uh,
They are the Bank of International Settlements, which are
oh yeah.
very high up the tree, and they are putting out stuff that looked very like
Well, you know why?
get worried.
You know why? Because what is happening, apparently, what is happening in Southeast Asia and a lot of countries is that people are starting to do import and export, and they're bypassing the banks. They're paying their suppliers directly in crypto. So who needs the banks when you are actually paying your supplier with crypto? And what's going to happen to import export international trade?
And who's leading the way in that? XRP and XLM.
Mm, yeah,
They are leading the way.
yeah.
This is why they are, I think, going to be instrumental in the new a new system that will be much more people centric because there's a lot more than meets the eye. They just can't come out with everything because obviously they are like a Trojan horse as well, I believe,
Mm,
for the to the bad guys. So we just have to watch it play out. I think that sanity will prevail, and the only thing to fear is fear itself and being attached to fear.
yeah.
We stay in our hearts and we've got a critical thinking and our feet are connected to the earth. We're like a battery. We've got a positive and negative. What we need is the earth wire, the earth ground to keep us balanced. And that's kind of why our bodies are so important because they are this is the vehicle, this is the conduit that houses our spirit.
Mhm.
And, it's
Yeah.
why it comes back to the fundamentals every time, the basic elements.
So coming back, coming back to the metaverses, do your research, have a look, and you can go in and play with them. There, you can go into Decentraland and you know play around. There's quite a few. There's if you're into racing, there's F1 something. Actually, I was looking for it. There's you talked about NASCAR, and I suppose Hyperverse will come through eventually. So and see what's in there. And explore, do a bit of tourism, and you know, without having to go all the way in, you can actually see what that environment is like and give you an idea and maybe take away some of the fear you might have. The ants can eat the elephant one bite at a time, indeed. Yes, and we just go in there as gorillas, going and have a look, sussing it out. Well, I plan
Nice,
to
nice
anyway.
comment, sister.
Yes, yes, yes. I
Keeping up
think
the family tree.
saw Turkish takeaway with a sign outside their window, pay by Bitcoin here. Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, we've got whole nations going on to Bitcoin. Apparently in El Salvador, within 90 days from like virtually 0% adoption, they now 90% of the people have got Bitcoin wallets, or was it 70%, which is huge. So it should really be interesting to see what happens there. Yeah.
Mm, mm.
Whatever you
Yeah.
say about Bitcoin.
Well, but look, Bitcoin is been instrumental in getting us this far. I
Mm,
don't put down Bitcoin per se. I just think its technology has now been superseded, and it's
mm,
being controlled by those centralized controllers that we love to hate. It's not actually real DeFi. It's DeFi by sort of default, almost.
mm.
It's CeFi by default. Uh,
Well, but the funny thing is that's what some of the Bitcoin rationalists might say is that actually the only decentralized currency is Bitcoin because you can look at the code. It's open source, while a lot of these are actually kind of half DeFi. Or one person said, well, there's no such thing as part DeFi. You are either CeFi or DeFi. So the battle, the arguments rage on, and which is a good thing. Which is a good thing. It's good to have that big discussion going on.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely, yeah. But for me, when 0.04% of the own 60% of Bitcoin, and they control the miners, I think that kind of overrules a lot of the wonderful tech it
Mm,
has, and it's nullified to a
mm,
very large degree.
mm,
So, because the community you add in those other components that make a good currency as well. It's not just the tech. The tech in itself is good, yeah.
mm.
But anyway, that's just we won't harp on about that.
Yeah.
Everyone's entitled. Well, I hope Bitcoin survives because I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
it's needed, but I just hope it gets cleaned up. I hope
Yeah.
the whole
Yeah.
system gets cleaned up so that we can come onto a level playing field. That's all I want to see.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm positive that there are people in that space working on that and are aware of all those implications. So,
Mm.
I mean, I have hope for humanity, and there's these some of these young people are just so blooming brilliant, and I think it's an interesting thing because uh, there are a lot of young people coming in with very seemingly high ethics. I don't know where they get it from. Maybe they're closer to divinity than the previous people. In lots of ways, they have this kind of ethical look or bent and thoughts, and they're very intelligent, and they learn really fast. So I'm yeah, I'm very positive. Being aware
Yeah,
of your energy, especially emotional state, yeah, definitely, definitely.
totally agree, Vanessa. Yeah, stay grounded. Definitely, being grounded right now is a very, especially when we're doing a lot of work on the computer
Yeah,
or
yeah,
operating in the metaverse. Then we can probably continue to interact with the metaverse rather than getting sucked into it
yes,
and and becoming consumed by
uh,
it. I
yeah.
mean, really is the amount of time we do online now could be seen as just as debilitating as what the metaverse is.
Yes, yeah, I would yeah, much prefer a powwow under a big tree or something. But
Mm,
yeah, well, here we are.
yeah.
But yes, do take time to go out onto the beach, walk barefoot on the beach. There you go. Yeah, being me says, sat watching with feet in the water with a crystal. Just go and walk barefoot wherever you can. That'll help you get grounded again, especially if you're feeling these days, anxious, caught up by all the things that are going on in the news and all that. It's really important to hook back into the rhythms of nature.
Mm, absolutely. I love nature. I absolutely love it. I find excuses to get out there as often as I can. Gardening, even just mowing the lawns. I always
Mm,
feel so much more energized when I do things outside. I think it's the sunshine. I think it's the air, certain breathing, and I think it's the connection with the actual earth as well. That all combined together tends to shed off any uh, sort of weird, when you're feeling a bit drained after being online all day and stuff.
yeah,
However, when I've been in the car all day, I can spend half an hour outside and it can literally put me into a better state than what I was before I actually left the house.
yeah, yeah.
There's
And and
definitely something in it.
and what we've been talking about, emotions here, if you understand that emotions are actually energy, psychic energy, prana, you know and the disturbing emotions are disturbed prana, then you don't need to place so much importance on the emotions, but place more importance on reestablishing your energy field, and you find then the emotions tend to take care of themselves to a large extent. Uh,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, it's when emotions get embedded into the subconscious, and then there's a lot of beliefs laid around it.
Mm.
That that's why they can be far more powerful than thoughts. If you've got an enraged mother trying to protect her, say her child, who's absolutely on a roll emotionally, get out of the way because no thought reasoning is going to be able to deal with someone who's really emotionally on the charge.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, um,
And Mitch there says, "Love your enemies." That's cool, and love them so much that they are no longer your enemies, and actually acknowledge them for the work that they're doing. I mean, they're actually bringing the dark side to our attention. I mean, I don't think so much of that of the PM, but especially of Charles Schwab. He's actually expressing stuff that is actually puts it there in front of you, right in your face, and you say, "Well, thanks, Charlie." Yeah, I'm gonna do something about this. Yeah, thank
yeah.
you, guys.
Yeah, that's why I say being aware of that and not going into denial or doing a spiritual bypass is very important. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean focused on it. It just means we're aware it's there, and then we get to work to create the world we want.
Mm.
But if we don't know it's there, we can live in a kind of a easy, like a bubble that's like there's a word for it, solipsism, where it basically says that the only thing that's important is yourself, and you can do whatever you like. And basically, it's a belief in a purely subjective world and no objectivity at all, and that
Yeah.
is dangerous. That's actually one of the tenets of Satanism,
Mm.
is that everything is subjective and there's no concrete or objective truth.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to get away from. And the fact is that Klaus Schwab and his clowns, they are a type of, they are an objective, there's an objective truth happening there. They actually exist and they actually have this as a plan. And that's 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 what it is. You can't deny
Mm.
it when you look.
Oh, we're getting lots of interesting stuff coming out here. I'll address Angela. Yes, emotions are a chemical hit, and this is the whole thing where emotions are the interface between our physical body and our mental body, as prana is. So that's why I said the pranic body, according to the yoga theory of the five sheaths, is the interface between the physical and the mental. And so when something happens into the mental space, then it expresses in the physical space. So when you have a chemical hit, it's that physical expression. Now, if you change your mental state, that can change your chemical state. Or if your chemical state changes, it can affect your mental state. So, yeah. And that's why when the psychiatrists, focus so much on trying to treat you with chemicals, they're only looking at one side of it. You know, uh, and they forget the other side. The other interesting thing is Vanessa says, I wouldn't falsely love someone. Don't falsely love someone. Really love them. We are all in it, in this together. Well, this is my opinion. Okay, we are all in this together. The divinity is one. Uh, Satan was created by God, and there's nothing apart from divinity. So once we can get to that, then we can actually really love whoever. And I think that once we actually get to that, then that reality is going to change anyway. All these are reflections of our own shadows. Klaus Schwab is a reflection of our shadows, as was Hitler and all those crazy people. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Mitch.
Yes, I agree with that. Yeah, totally. Absolutely.
Yeah, true,
It's an
true.
opportunity for us to see our own shadow and our own dark.
Oh, really interesting stuff coming out. Yeah, the tatwas, yes. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So we're all on a learning journey, and we are always challenged. So this is great. Um, as above,
Yeah.
so below.
Well, that's wonderful. I think on that positive note, I think
Yeah,
it's probably a good time to wrap it up. But
yeah. Thanks very
uh,
much, guys, for being here. Yeah.
love the engagement. Thank
Mm.
you, everyone. Thank you, Kath. Thank you, Vanessa and Angela, and being me as well.
Yes.
I like being me as well,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah. I like being me too.
Yeah, I kind of like myself most of the time.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot, guys. Have a fantastic weekend, and we'll see you. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, thanks, Gerald. Thanks.
Have a fantastic time.
Thank you.